I thought Korea and USA played on TMNT.
That's something out there, right?
yeah.
This year or 2000? Yeah, last year.
USA는 아니고 작년에 했나? 미국이랑 붙으면 더 옛날이야.
I think Korea against the USA maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Elves versus blue-white control. Normally, I would just default and say, yo, this deck has islands and plains and swords, and I'm going to call it miracles. But here's the thing. I skipped through this video. I didn't see a Terminus, man. And since Brandon is on Elves here, I'm just going to call this blue-white control. But since Brandon is on Elves, Terminus is the card that we want to see. We want to go like Flooded Strand, pass, untap, reveal Terminus, you know? I've been playing with the Mythstill list, like a lot. And, alright, so we got a little peek at his deck there. This is a Monastery Mentor list. It's got Mentor in the main, and turn one... Well, turn one Quirion means that no matter what, you can search for Tundras. You'll never get wasted off of anything, so you don't have to constrain yourself. And so when I said that I had kind of skipped through looking for Terminus, I don't know how these games end up, but Terminus is very important in this old matchup. Basically what made Elves players cry, that it was like a 90-10, something like that. But with Monastery Mentor in the main, Terminus is just complete nombo. So he's trying to be way more aggressive than most of the other builds floating out there. We'll see if this is like a pretty slow, like Azcanta 3 counterspell kind of list or not. But with Mentor, I want to play as many 1-drops as possible. I would go so far as to say that I want Gataxian Probe in my deck. Brandon looks like he's got a pretty slow hand, but with a Quirion Ranger, a Dryad Arbor on this turn is not that bad. Can still ramp a little bit. And when he views Tundra Ponder, he's absolutely paranoid about Terminus. But the problem with Elves is that you have to play into it, right? Like, you're not going to win without bullying past it, basically. So it's okay to set up a pretty nice board and attack in. You may not have to natural order immediately because you don't want to get countered and die. But you do have to put up enough pressure that they won't just, get through it. Interesting. So he didn't actually have anything to ramp into. And now with 2 Dryads on board, this is where he's waiting for the turn. He's just, flip the Terminus. Losing 2 lands to Terminus is, well, it's ball kicking. That's what it is. But our mystery man here, and I apologize, I do not know your name, I'm sorry. And that had to be the Quirion because you cannot go after Dryad Arbors when he's around. Anyway, but I'm sorry, I do not have your name. Ooh, mismatched Swords to Plowshares. I'm not a fan of that. I am a fan of keeping the Elves player on very few resources, though. Now, Brandon untaps for turn 2 with 2 mana available and 1 creature. Mr. Quirion comes back. Generates a net mana. And the Visionary resolves. So he's up 1 card. So he'll have to pass here. And he's very exposed to a Terminus. And what I'm thinking here, he's tapping out straight up for Monastery Mentor. I'm no longer afraid of any Terminus in this list whatsoever. Like, maybe out of the sideboard, maybe not. But basically, our opponent knew what we were on from the get-go. and he pondered immediately and did not shuffle, even though there was no terminus present. Can we glimpse? No. Looks more like a fairy than a monk, but I'm gonna allow it. Alright, so we generate 3 mana with the Heritage Druid. Elvish Visionary, 1 mana floating. Visionary resolves. It looks to me like our opponent, from Brandon's side, our opponent is pretty much out of resources. He's banking on this Monastery Mentor. I don't believe in the Force any longer. So if I was Brandon, I would pretty much go balls to the wall, finding natural order and flooding the board right now. And there we go. Wirewood Symbiote is very important here because already 2 swords have been played. However, we're now in the realm of repeated Snapcasters, and he is going to protect the whole team as long as he's around. It's a very threatening board from Brandon, even though he's not able to get in the chip shots because the Monastery Mentor is a nice blocker. It would take a ton of cantripping to make the Mentor into a frightening attacker, and he, aggressive. I like it. So just put the Elves player to task here. One thing that you always have to worry about, Brandon correctly, he has no reason to walk into some problem like that. So main deck Ensnaring Bridge. He's down to 2 cards. His strategy now is to try to empty his hand. He is not playing any of the normal Miracles cards. He's just playing a blue-white Monastery Mentor list. And honestly, that means that you could probably go to Haruruya and find this list. I mean, this is looking very Japanese to me. Symbiote is activated. Symbiote is deactivated. We create 3 mana, we activate. Yeah. 1 mana floating, draw a card. Brandon's operations with the deck. If I wasn't really experienced with Elves, then I would kind of want these motions to be a little bit more outlined. Like, I want maybe some more pointing. Although it's possible that I'm just not hearing his verbal cues. So, I mean, yeah, I think that this is the right call. From everything that the other players demonstrated, I don't think that he has force of will here. He has it.
Even with that?
And now he's empty-handed. And now he gets another monk. Let's see, life total 16. Did you miss this monk? Okay, that was a little slow, but all right. So Brandon loses his natural order. And a visionary, I guess? Was it? Yeah, it has to be the 3rd visionary. And he searches up Bayou because he knows that it's not any different than basic forest in this matchup. And he's going to need... Yeah, there is a death right. Even if that death right was not in hand, he really did need a Bayou. So the Elves player is entirely unable to attack. This is a really interesting tech to have access to an Ensnaring Bridge in Game 1. And even though these are just little 1/1 monks, you can kind of scare your opponent. I mean, are these all about to become 2/2s? Yeah, and I don't really like this because we're going to lose the Death Right for nothing. we knew that he had to have something in his hand. I don't know why we're chumping with Deathrite when, since we can't attack, he's really like he's our only win condition at the moment.
4 and then gain.
No, let's correct the life total here, because the sword did not happen.
No gain. You just.
Okay.
You swords.
You return.
Oh, right. You're right. Sorry.
All good. So so we know that he's empty-handed because he's playing Ensnaring Bridge, which means that he can't just hold counter spells, which is why I think that this build is like a little weird. I'm not entirely sure I like it, but now we can basically just try to churn through our deck for Reclamation Sage and, well, kill him. There's a lot of mana. We just need Green Sun, but this is just as good here. We're going to draw a Green Sun immediately. That's how Elves works. And at this point, actually, I know it doesn't seem that great, but I think the natural order for Rec Sage is also great. Is that right? Yeah. We have no hope of removal. This is weird. It's a long road for Deathrite to go down. An empty-handed opponent does mean that we've got basically all the cards on the table. We know exactly what's going on. And I think he's... How much... I mean, he's not going to, like, hard cast a Crater Hoof or something now because he can't attack. Right? I mean... Oh. Yeah. 3, 4, I'm counting 3. There's a Reclamation. I told you he's going to get the Green Sun. I'm curious why we even tanked. There we go. Untap Nettle Sentinel for Green Sun. That's a little late. We got to... please make sure that our triggers are in order. However, Nettle Sentinel does not say like you may untap me. He just untaps. So it's not like you can miss it, but you know, just order things a little sleeker. From the Mentor's side of things, it really looks to me like we gotta rip like Ponder into Ponder into Ponder and just go for a huge lethal attack, because the amount of time it's going to take before Brandon either 1 draws Crater Hoof, 2 draws Natural Order, or 3 draws Green Sun Zenith is getting shorter and shorter, and all of them are lethal because he's just got a mountain of mana. I don't really like how we tapped our black source though, because with a Heritage Druid out, we don't need to do that, right? Although, no, maybe it's right, because we don't want to end up chump blocking if he gets a little frisky. Oh. Well then, untap the Nettle Sentinel, sacrifice Visionary, yeah. I mean, he's got no cards in hand, then Crater Hoof. So let's see here, that's 8 creatures in play, everybody gains Trample, and +8. There are 6 attackers, that's way more than enough. Okay. 2 Monastery Mentors and a pile of tokens, nowhere near enough, simply because the blue-white player was just like not drawing enough Ponder Brainstorm. I could see a universe, honestly, where one of those cards that he drew in the last couple of turns was just Brainstorm, leading him into 2 more castable spells, and then like the pile of monks becomes lethal very quickly. But we're back for game number 2 here, and the blue-white control player is now on the play. And this is something that you see in Asia when you play. Very carefully show everybody how many cards you're drawing for your opening turn. There's none of that like rip 4 and then rip 3 off the top of your deck while you're looking at them.
Really? No.
This also leads to, like, basically I've never seen anybody say, oh, oops, I have 8 cards in my hand. like just doesn't happen.
I saw a guy playing Elves or Storm.
Playing in Japan also, players always show their 15 sideboard cards in between games after sideboard. And actually, yeah, before you start the match too. They're just like, hey, by the way, this is everything else that's in my box. There's only 15 cards here. There's a lot of foils in this deck, man. Despite the mismatched swords, I like it. Alright, so no shuffle again. This might be playstyle. This might be, I don't know. I mean, actually, I didn't comment on this last. I only commented on how he didn't shuffle with the Ponder, but there wasn't a Terminus. I mean, the pile of cards that he ended up with during that game were quite potent. I mean, he had a bridge for an aggro deck, an aggro creature deck. He had mismatched islands. He had his ensnaring bridge. He had a copy of Monastery Mentor and a couple of Force of Wills. I mean, it's hard to really complain about that. Oh, and he had 2 swords also. I mean, some heavy hitters there. It's just without a Wrath effect, Elves is going to like get right past sword, sword, sword. Giving a read to Birchlore Rangers, which is one of in the lists. I guess just because it's simply not as good as Heritage Druid. But okay, all right, yeah, I like it. Temporal Mastery. Take an extra turn. So this time, yeah, we'll get a land drop, and then what? We'll just pass. Oh, even better. Sword the Wirewood Symbiote. Get him out of here. Then untap and take our next turn. Okay, so we found a miracle. There was a miracle. That's saucy, man. I have played my share of Temporal Masteries. I prefer to play it with Vile Smasher the Fierce, but this is cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that he has anything proactive to do, so that Temporal Mastery was actually just get one more land drop, which in my experience is what it does like a lot of the time. This isn't vintage Time Walk where, oh. No, I'd just rather not have choke resolve. Yeah, and you cannot miss that. He has to untap, which means you do get to get in here for 2, right? Hey-oh. Grip full of cards. Don't think he knew what was on top of his deck. Did he? Was that the last card off the Ponder that he knew? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. End of turn, fetch into untap. And a quick, another shuffle. So let's see. So cards that I'm a little concerned about. I'm thinking Supreme Verdict is definitely possible. What else here? Just piles of Snapcaster Swords. And holding up... I have no doubt that he's holding up Counterspell, for one. But, I mean, there's the danger, though. If you are just sitting back, kind of occasionally sorting creatures and then taking chip shots from elves, you will die to just raw attacks here. Dryad Arbor will get frisky. Dryad Arbor and a Pendelhaven, like the land crew, they're gonna come in. Heritage Druid, is that all right? All right, so that resolves. He's like, sorry, I didn't say that resolved. All right, so Brainstorm in response to Heritage Druid. Note that this would be the third elf out there. And he even has some free info, seeing that he asked his opponent to rewind and knows that there's a Cradle in hand. Ignoring that, I'm going to try to, cut off a little bit of the Elvish Menace here before Heritage Druid comes down. Because right now, I mean, Birchlow Rangers can generate 2 no matter what. And by the way, Counterspell is down. Wow. All right. Force for Heritage Druid. Cradle. Cradle taps for 3. I mean, he already used a Force. Make 3 mana, 4 mana. Is he... Can we just natural order again? Yeah, he's natural ordering this Dryad Arbor. Is this just a value attack? I don't know what this is. Let's see here. Birchlow Rangers, 1/1. Possibly a 2/3 with Pendelhaven. Right? And Nettle Sentinel is a 2/2. That's only 3 wow, the next force. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you're tanking. Natural order, countering a natural order, you still always get them to kill their Dryad Arbor. We'll get in for 3. Why was that? Sorry, did you take one more? Oh, and there's a Terminus. Okay. Yo, I think that this is a Monastery Mentor plan A, and then plan B out of the sideboard is a couple of copies of Terminus. Something that, honestly, you really need that in game 1. This matchup should be, like, really, really, really good for the Terminus player. All sorts of Terminus builds. Starts trying to rebuild the board here. And we know that, I mean... What, should I mark this deck Miracles, man? I mean, we saw Temporal Mastery, we saw Terminus. Maybe it was just very bad luck on game 1. Maybe I'm being too harsh when saying, you know, Miracles has to have 4 Swords and 4 Ponder and 4 Predict and 4 Terminus. And Monastery Mentor should be in the sideboard. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. But maybe, I don't know, I marked this guy blue-white control at the beginning of the video. Ugh. Wish I knew his name. I'd ask him what he wanted to call it. Ponder. Let's find another Terminus. We saw... I mean, that's Counterbalance. I'm rebranding this video. This, for everybody who listened from the beginning, I don't know, man. I had this video all edited up. I had it showing blue-white control. I'm changing it. Quick shuffle, so Brandon can be comfortable that he's not about to lose his meager board. But I mean, with our friend here already down at 9, attacking through regular damage, especially with Pendelhaven. I mean, that is doable. This game could really turn around fast with Snapcaster or 2, though. This is our blind draw here.
No blocks? Yeah.
He's getting whittled down, and yeah, I mean, the Pendelhaven here. So let's see. If he... Yes, that's perfect, because he shortens his clock significantly by putting the Nettle Sentinel down. And also, we knew that he had just shuffled with a Ponder, so... And this is a blocker. So, Monastery Mentor and Terminus in the deck at the same time.
Oh, sorry. EFT.
End of turn Dryad Arbor. Okay. So now Dryad Arbor can now attack if he wants. Pretty much we're only worried about the last card being Sword, and I don't think that it is, because he would have cast that thing. I mean, if it is Brainstorm, then that's a nice little trick, I guess. Oh, actually, Brainstorm, he could still only block a 1/1. It goes up to 2/3 with Pendelhaven, so I'm not even all that scared. I say we attack with everything. Or never mind, we just go for a kill here. Sorry, the Cradle for 4, 5, 6, 7. What, 7 mana? 8 mana. Heyo. That is 5 creatures. He says before the trigger, I'm going to Sword Craterhoof. Now, so he gets a monk. So let's see. So the trigger is everybody gets +4/+4. That's still, it's too much, right? Yeah. Wow. Well done, Brandon. It's nice navigation through that matchup. Thanks for the games, guys. Good ones.